Well, this is my one chance to share with all of you. Hello, hello, hello. I'll put Robin's glasses back on. Oh, yes. Hello there. Oh, nice to see everybody. So wonderful to have you. Yes, this is I, Wulan. And I wish you I want to share a few things I have not shared before in the past. The reason that we do this once a month is that we help you to charge and recharge for sure with the energy that you are receiving, just as Joya has said. And the other is that we are in a time of, as you know, great challenge, not only physically in the earth, politically in the country, but also personally. Many people have been dislocated, are going to be dislocated, moving to new places, trying them out. And the reason that we do this every month is to help you generate a keen light line of awareness of your 3 stars so that you can come back to those 3 stars and really center in your column of light that goes right through the middle of you. Now, for some of you, that column of light is this big, for some it's this big, and for some it's much broader. A lot of it depends on how long you've been practicing in meditation or practicing the centering. But, you know, Robin can attest that hers has gone from about pencil size to, you know, much bigger now. And the more large it gets, the less ego is there. So the ego is with you all through your lives, whether you become into an enlightenment or not, there still is a little ego there. And that is just to help you stay grounded in the reality of the earth, because the earth holds the ego in understanding in order to teach people lessons. So the ego has to do with lessons. It's one way to look at it, you see. We think of the ego as a problem, but we don't have to see it as a problem. We can see it as a teaching tool. Now, this is a revelation, is it not? Your ego is a teaching tool. It teaches you what you are still needing to learn. And so it will grasp onto things that do not feel right or are in alignment, or it will hold on to something in your system tenaciously until, you know, the greater part of you can hold that part and it can transform and open up and release. See, that is really what your witness self does for the ego. It holds it in compassion. Now, and then it can transform it, you see. So your witness, your ability to hold the parts of yourself that are in disharmony, give you the opportunity to transform them. And all they have to do is be loved. That's it, really. Love, love, love is what transforms. And of course, you all know that because you've been with me or worked with Robin. So what I want to share tonight is about this next month. Well, it's been rocky, has it not been, the last few months? But just wait, this month is going to be even more interesting. There's a lot that's going to be happening, a lot of tumult, especially in the news and the news cycles. There are going to be even more attacks on the election, and not really any danger at all to voting. That is a complete myth. There is no danger to voting because most people, most states in this country are very secure in their voting practices. I would say 99.75% are. That's a lot. That's very good. It's a good average. Now, so the idea that there's some kind of voter fraud conspiracy is completely a lie, completely untrue. Just want to affirm that from the Ascended Masters. So what's important to understand is there's going to be a lot of back and forth. And what I would encourage for you, and not just politically, but there's going to be a lot of other emotions rising that are kind of extreme, shall we say, right side, left side, you see, kind of think of it like badminton, you know. They're banging issues back and forth. But what is important to recognize is there's a part of you that can ascend that and be up here in your God consciousness and witness it. Witness all that's going on. And that's where I would encourage all of you to pay attention. To pay attention to your witness self, who can witness all that's happening around you, but you don't have to get engaged in it. You don't have to get tied into it in any way. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get involved. That doesn't mean you don't write letters to Congress, or you don't, try to fight the attempt to get a Supreme Court judge on before anyone's really ready for it. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with what's happening. You can do all of the support you want to do in either one of the polarities politically, or whether it's spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It can be on many different levels right now. But what's important is for you to stay in that central place. And that's why we practice the 3 stars every single time for the last 14 years. So that you can come back into, or 16 years, come back into that central place in yourself and ground the energy. There are 2 things that are very key. One is connecting with your center, your central pole of 3 stars, and the other is grounding that light, grounding that energy. So those are the 2 most important things you can do right now, especially through this next month of October 2020. It will start to back off a little bit in November, but things won't really be settled until next year sometime, probably January or February. Now, what I mean by settled is there's still going to be this kind of, everything gets tossed up every once in a while. You're going to feel that in the earth and outside of you. But it's very important and very key for you not to get sucked into it. Don't get sucked into it. It's a good time for you to exercise pushing out other people's energy and filling yourself with your energy. The more you fill yourself with your energy, your 3 stars, your light, the less interference you can have from other people, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. Does that make sense? Good. Any questions? Just unmute yourself and ask whatever you wish. Or comment. I'm in conversation. Yes, I see Joya is unmuted.
I just wanted to comment that none of us mentioned the fires.
Yes.
And that was such a big event for many of us. Some of us had to evacuate at least for a little bit or for a longer period of time, and just the quality of the air. And today, when I did this trip up to San Francisco, and it was such a beautiful day, I realized that we've only had blue skies for about 4 days or 5 days. And my daughter and I were talking about that, and how our consciousness kind of shifts and changes all the time, and it was almost like, well, it's always like this. It's always so wonderful. And we had just gone through this horrendous period where, still hacking and having sore throats and stuff from the air, which is kind of interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
How quickly your consciousness can change when your outer circumstances change.
Yes, and kind of put you can go through very traumatic things and it can kind of fade into the background.
Yes.
And become less important as you're moving forward.
Yes. Yes.
Not that it's not there, but
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Exactly. Like we have many opportunities for that right now.
Yes, yes, we do. We do. Yes, Eve. Yes.
I have a question. Is it going to take a while to know the outcome of the election? Is there going to be a lot of drama about who's winning or who won?
No. It will be very clear, decisive choice. It will not be like last time. There's a lot of fear that it will, but that's just fear. So not necessarily. I think there is more and more distrust of the current so-called president, and there is less mistrust of the other person that is running, Mr. Biden. So it is important to pay attention to whatever you can find that's actually truthful, because there's so much distrust and so much terrible lies that are floating around. So one has to be very, very discerning and about where you get your news and who's at the base of it, who's really behind it. A lot of the conspiracy theories and so on, some of them are seeded even by the Russians and by other people that would like to see more tumult here in the United States. So pay attention to that, because it's not easy to trace some of this information or misinformation, but it is clearly out there in different ways. So you have to be very discerning about what you find. Even people that have, large educations can't really discern it sometimes. So you have to check the sources and recheck the sources. And I wouldn't believe much of anything you find online unless it's a YouTube thing, or even then, there's lies that are whole movies that are lies. So be careful. Be careful. And, know that there is an entire bevy, a huge number of spirits that are here holding the earth in love right now, so that it will transform at the very deepest core levels. And so part of what you're witnessing, this is why I'm encouraging you not to get caught up in all of this turmoil and craziness that's out there, because all of that is actually a result of the light that's coming in. So as light workers, as beings of light, you can bring in more light, and we are giving you more light here to help you with that. The more you're in your light, the less affected you will be by all of the craziness in the world. That's very true. Yes. Anyone else want to share?
Well, along those lines, I was also wondering about this lockdown that the whole world and nation is in, and whether there'll be some resolution of that after the election or next year, where things are a little bit more predictable and it's just not this indefinite, perpetual lockdown mode we're in.
Yes. Well, just as California and Santa Cruz County is opening up little by little, the restaurants that were not open are open now. The health clubs are open now. Now, it might be different in Santa Clara County, but here in Santa Cruz, things are starting to open up a little by little. And the numbers here are very, very low, considering, 8 deaths and 7 months, that's very, very low. And numbers of cases are a few thousand at the most. That's very low. There are some places in Texas where there's 1,000 a day in one county that are getting diagnosed. And Robin's sister in La Crosse, Wisconsin is in a county that is the highest in the nation because the kids have gone back to school. They're they're in their 70s, and so they're staying home. They are going on bike rides and things. But even though they've had medical people trying to keep the numbers down and asking people to keep social distancing and using masks and so on, yes, that they're the worst in the states, in the United States, in the whole country. So there are places that are still very, very bad. And so what I would, yes, there will be relief. There will be not just COVID vaccines, but cures, herbal cures that will be coming out, as well as vaccines that will help to some extent. And as people start relaxing, and there'll be more restrictions, like for traveling and during in the air and so on. They pretty much have that regulated, though. There are people traveling. One of Robin's friends went to Istanbul recently.
Yeah.
And he's very paranoid, actually. So he usually wouldn't do this, but he was able to go with his partner, and they had a direct flight. They were spaced well on the plane. They went right to the hotel. They quarantined for a couple of days, and then they were able to, the requirement there was just 3 or 4 days to see if you develop any symptoms. And if you don't have any symptoms, after 2 days, they decided they were fine, and it was self-quarantining. Nobody's putting a red sticker on them or something. So I think that as it starts to fade in certain countries, it's going to be things are going to be able to be opened up a little bit more. But this is going to last into this next year as well. So while there'll be some things that can come out of it, herbal cures and things like that, there's going to be some skepticism about that. And the testing is in process. Robin heard about this just a few days ago from a friend whose client is actually involved in this cure that's coming out. So there are new things developing. What's also going to be developing is a different system of healthcare, because it's become so apparent how awful the healthcare system is in this country and how restricted it is just to people that have money. So that is going to be something else that's very much going to be on the agenda. And there will be continued disruption about that, but also continued movement towards some kind of unified healthcare system that will help people. So that would be a wonderful relief. And not to say that there aren't going to be sides that are fighting in this situation, you see. It's going to still be tumultuous, but not to the extent that it has been, which will be good. So, and hopefully everyone will vote. And that will help a lot of things. If people vote, if everyone showed up at the polls, there would be no question who would win. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people check out at this time, and that's unfortunate. Mm-hmm. So we would ask, exercise your freedom. So yes, it will change and it will get better, but it's still going to be a bit of a lockdown, because that's the only way they have to control this epidemic. And it is an epidemic. It is real. People are dying and people are getting sick, and people are recovering too. So the other part of it is almost 90% of the people do recover. But if you have, 2 million cases, you're going to have 200,000 deaths. That's That's the reality.
Mhm.
So even if it's 1% or 2%, it's still a lot of people. So, but that isn't to say that it is also helping to emerge a new energy. I will say this about it. Not to say that anyone deserves to die from COVID-19. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that while some of the older folks are dying, and that is true, it's not everybody that's older that's dying. Sometimes it's younger people too, and sometimes it's people that have, you know, multiple problems otherwise, diabetes, heart disease, and so on. But what I want to share with you is that the reality of the lockdown is forcing people to come into their values very strongly. And asking people, what is it that you want? What is it that you believe? Who are you at the core? And this is helping people come into an integrity that has not been seen as clearly as it has been today. Their integrity of their alignment with their beliefs, their heart, and their actions in the third chakra or second chakra, that their beliefs, their heart, their feelings, and their action in the lower centers. Those three things need to be in alignment if you're truly in integrity. And if you're not in integrity, it's going to show up a lot right now.
Mhm.
So it will be helpful to allow God to take care of the conflict. Keep turning it over to the divine. Turn it over to the Mother Earth. Keep being aligned with those two forces, the Father Sky, Mother Earth, Creator Spirit. And you will find, keep declaring it in divine order. And things will start to work out in a much more smooth way. This next month has its own ups and downs. There will be more fires, unfortunately. Maybe not in Santa Cruz, but there will be fires. The fires you've come through, can you feel kind of the relief from all of that smoke? I think perhaps that's why no one mentioned the fires, even though some have been evacuated. What we're looking at now are fires in areas that have not burned for a long time. And they're going to continue with the fires down in the Los Angeles area. So we're hoping that, you know, you can pray for rain, and it does work. And we are just in the middle of the fire season right now. Actually at the very beginning of the fire season. Usually it doesn't start till September, the end of September. Now here we are, started in August, you know, middle of August. So it's a whole month ahead of time. So I want you to be aware of that, and especially if you're traveling, for those of you who may be traveling, be sure to check the weather and the news before you begin your travels, so you're not heading right into a fire. There will also be storms, several more storms, very large storms coming. And they have not hit their peak hurricane season either on the East Coast. So you see that the whole country is getting kind of squeezed from the West Coast to the East Coast. You know, the storms are ripping through the middle. And all of this is necessary in order to stir up people's compassion and help with each other. There is a big difference between, from our perspective, looking at the earth and the people that are living in the bodies, people are much more compassionate. They're kinder to each other. There's a lot more caring about where they are and how are they doing. Conversations have changed among people so that there are much fewer kind of narcissistic behaviors, shall I say, self-centered behaviors. And it's very good to see that. It's very, very good to see that from our perspective. So while the storms and the fires do wreak a lot of havoc and change people's lives, there's also something else coming out of it, which is compassion for one another and help too. Look at all the things that have sprouted up in Santa Cruz, the evacuation centers and people that are, truly caring. They're right there. They're right here. They're all over the place. So it's quite wonderful to see that. There will also be more attention paid to homeless people. This is another thing that will be helpful and will transform. Robin's nephew in LA has reported a huge number of homeless that's almost doubled or tripled down there.
Mm.
And the tent cities are becoming really wild and crazy places. Lots of human feces right on the streets, everywhere. So it's important to understand that there's going to have to be solutions to that. People can't just live on the streets forever. And the social services is going to have to grow exponentially because there are a lot of people out of work. But again, how is that activating compassion, support, caring for other people? All of these things are very important. Any questions about any of that?
Are there going to be more, besides the fires and the hurricanes, are we going to have any earthquakes in the next few months?
Not here,
Okay.
not in California. There may be a few in other places, but they'll be very low.
And then I'm also wondering about, I'm hoping for more justice, more racial equality and social justice and income justice. Are some of those things coming this year or in future years? Really hoping for some transformations.
It will be a rolling out of different policies, different things that can help the difference there for sure. It won't happen overnight. We are only in the kind of the second wave of civil rights. The first was in the 60s. Now we're in the second wave, which is unseating, untrenching the systemic racism that's very much embedded in the culture. And there's no doubt about it that it's everywhere for many people of color. Mm-hmm. So it is getting unrooted. But again, just like when you uproot a plant in the water, you create all this mud. And it's part of the natural process. And then you can get the plant out of the water and put it in something else or another pond or something. And then eventually all that settles back down into the bottom. So if you think of what they're trying to do is uproot the roots of some of the systemic racism. And it is already affecting a lot of change and a lot of transformation. Will it be a total transformation? Well, that is really up to each individual person. Everybody's transformation will come if they choose to look within themselves, uprooting their own systemic racism within themselves, you see. The ironic fact is everyone in this circle has been in another race, religion, or creed at another time. Robin has been Native American, she has been African, she has been Chinese, she has been in every single race, and many of you have too. So if you have more than, 100 lifetimes, you're guaranteed to have more than one race.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, race, it should not be making such a big difference, but it has, unfortunately, and it's been going on for way too long.
And gender equality and age equality all around, is that coming for us?
It would be nice if it
A
would.
question we can ask.
Yes, again, sexual inequality has been around for centuries. And again, we're at another wave of feminism here. Depending on what happens with the Supreme Court justice, there may be, it's unfortunate that it's being made so political, because really justices are supposed to be apolitical. And so that they can have actually a more open view of what's good for humanity, what's the direction of the culture, that kind of thing.
As you were speaking before, that so many crises are occurring and people are being uprooted, and is more people passing over, even like Ruth Ginsburg? Is they going to be able to help us more as guides, I think?
Oh yes, you can bet that Ruth Bader Ginsburg will be hovering over the Supreme Court for some time to come.
Good.
And you can guarantee also that others will come along as inspiration from her. You see, she was quite an amazing woman, because she faced this when no one was looking at it, way back in the early 60s. So she's been on the court a long time, but she was a lawyer well before that, dealing with these very issues, presenting to the Supreme Court some of these issues. So before she even got onto the Supreme Court, what's important to recognize is there's human law and then there's spiritual law. And human law wants to always restrict some party, that then the others can be above and look down. This is true economically, politically, racially, religiously. On a spiritual level, everyone's equal. On a spiritual level, there is no difference between this person and that person. They are all parts of the divine. And on a spiritual level, and I'm not speaking of religious church level, I'm talking about, because churches generally are more politically based institutions. They are not necessarily connected to religion, to true spirituality. True spirituality, everyone is equal. And many churches do support that, which is wonderful, but some don't. So, as you know, so on a spiritual level, everyone's equal. Everyone has an equal shot to go where they need to go, and they're in the exact right lifetime in order for them to learn the lessons they're here to learn. So that is a very important thing to recognize, that spiritually, everyone's in exactly the right place, the right body, the right sexuality. Now, in order for the spiritual to shift the political or the social, there has to be, and there is starting to be, a filtering down of the spiritual into the political, so that it can change. Does that make sense? So that's actually what's happening right now. People are getting more aligned with their spirit and less aligned with institutions, and there is more transformation available. So that is part of the benefit of the lockdown, is people are getting aligned here. Now, some, it's not aligning them, it's actually making them more crazy. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. But everyone has a choice. I will say this too. Everyone has a choice as to which way they're going to go. And some less so than others, perhaps because of their mental illness, but most people need to understand that even mental illness is a choice. on some level to learn lessons, certain lessons. And that is a very hard thing to accept, but it's true. And that isn't to blame them or anything. That's not to say that mental illness is not a real thing. It is a very real thing. And it is an exploration for some people of consciousness. For others, it is something they have to learn how to manage. For others, it is even physiological, chemical imbalances. And how do you manage those? So for everyone, it has something to do with lessons, life lessons. Does that make sense? And that isn't to blame anyone. It's not to shame them. It's just the reality. It's all about life lessons. Everything you are, wherever you are, is all about that. Does that help you? It's something to keep in your heart so that you can feel the compassion and the love that you have for humanity. There are times when this one's heart just aches. And it aches for the changes, it aches for the people that are going through the changes. And as much as this one is holding her own space, it's like being in a washing machine, you see. Everybody's in a washing machine right now, and all of this tumult is going around them. It gets exhausting. And then, of course, there is the things that are ending. People's lives are ending. Institutions are ending. People are transforming into online things and so on. And all of that is part of the sadness, and there's sadness in it, and there's grief, and that must be acknowledged. It's important to acknowledge it. So I'm going to depart. Any other questions before I leave or comments? Yes. Hello, Joy. You have to unmute yourself.
You go.
There you are.
All right. So I'm finding I'm crying. I'm even thinking about crying makes me cry. And I know it's not my personal grief.
Yes.
So I guess the best way to do it is just stay aligned and let the tears rise and go and flow.
Yes. The more you have your light in the center of your being, and the more you can allow it to move out of your system going this way, once you have it aligned, the more that you can move out of your system other people's energetics so that you can be in your own. That's why grounding and centering, those two things are so, so important right now. And they will be more important this next month, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to want to toss everybody up in the air. So you have to stay centered and grounded as much as you can within your own bodies. And yes, be aware that how attached you might be to this or that. That does affect people. It does affect people. So I want you to know that. Yes. So I'm going to depart, and then we'll call in others that are coming, that are standing out here in the air. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
This is I, Star Woman. Oh, well, that was a lot that Wulan had to say. I want to reinforce many of the things that he said. And the one is that grounding is very important. Yes, alignment is very important. There's another thing that's very important, and that is to connect with your own guidance. Because you have a circle of support around you all the time, and that guidance is here for you to receive information. You have it right around you. Call them in. Even if you can't see them, you can feel them. You can know that they are there. And commune with the divine. You see, you have that ability right in your third eye, right in your star essence, right out of the top of your head, and all the way into the earth. Those are the two poles of God that you rest in. These Mother Sky, Father Earth, or the Father Sky, Mother Earth. Whatever way you choose to see it, they are all part of the divine.
Mm.
And it is as if you are so much steeped in God consciousness, like a fish in the water, you can't tell that you're there. But the more that you have that alignment and recognize it and ground yourself, the more you will feel it. And then the more you can recognize all of this as part of the divine.
Mm.
Even the crazy behavior of certain people, it's meant to be this way for now because there is a need for massive change. Now, it's rather haphazard, rather unorganized, very discombobulating, but it will settle down. So I want you to know that people are being presented with choices everywhere. Are they not?
Yep.
Who are you being? Where do you want to go? How do you want to live? What do you resonate with? What is it you want to do with your life? Your one precious divine life. Your time, your energy, your spirit is precious. So how are you going to use it? It's precious. It's precious. It's precious. Do you understand that? It's precious.
Yes.
Because you have an opportunity to learn things here that you cannot really learn that well in other places. The Mother Earth holds a kind of grounding for everyone that then gives them an opportunity to work out their karma. That's why people are fighting to get into this earth plane, because they want to finish their karma. And what a great opportunity she has provided for that. But it's not easy. It's not easy to do that. And you have to run into, challenges from time to time in order to bring the karma up and clear it. So that's what's happening. So the three things that you must do now, especially through this next month: center yourself, ground yourself, and call on your guidance. Those are very, very important. Questions? Comments? I am here for you.
Thank you.
Oh, there are so many swirls of stars all around you all the time. If you get lost, just look up and you will see all these stars are here in constellations speaking to you. The ocean, its vastness, is speaking to you all the time.
Mm.
Yes, Joya, did you have a question?
No, it was more of a comment, and it was related to that I find that the very best thing I can do is be outside.
Yes.
And, in whatever part of nature I'm in, and just be with it and kind of soak in that energy.
Yes.
Because it's so life-giving. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Anytime you are in nature, it helps you to align again with yourself.
Mhm.
It cleans it. You go sit by the ocean, and Mother Ocean will just pull out of you, if you ask her to,
Mhm.
whatever you wish.
Mhm.
Old relationships, you can give up things that have been blocking you. You can just go and give it to her, and she'll take it from you.
Mhm.
She is very much of a healer. Salt water heals. It helps you.
Mhm.
Your tears are salt water. It's healing. It's healing to cry. It's healing to process. So don't ever think that your tears are forgotten or not necessary. They're always necessary. If you feel like crying, you must cry. It's okay. Because it is purifying you. It's cleaning things out. It's helping to release the revelations you may have come to in your life.
Mhm.
Anyone else? You must remember joy, because joy is always here available to you. Joy is always. That doesn't mean you joy. That means joy as a God consciousness movement. You see, joy is here always. It's just that we keep losing it. We keep losing track of it because the mind wants to fog everything up.
Mhm.
But you can heal that. You can heal it very well. The way you heal it is you remember it here in your third eye. Joy. Bring that sadness up to the joy. Bring that sadness up to the God consciousness. It's an ancient method of transforming yourself.
Mhm.
And know that those of you who are traveling or moving, just know that you are transformed. You are heading toward the place that is going to resonate with you even more. So pay attention to that. See how that feels to you. You will know right away if a place feels right or not. And the same when you're going off on little side trips, to go visit places or get out of town. Just notice how different you feel in the different places and how it aligns you or doesn't align you.
Mhm.
That's a very important thing. Yes. Any other questions, comments? So there are 3 things very, very important to remember this month. What are they?
Grounding,
Center.
ring, and calling on your guidance.
Yes. Yes. Very important to remember that. And I am part of your guidance. So if no one else is feeling like they're showing up, call on Star Woman.
Mhm.
I am the Divine Mother of the astral house. And while I am huge, vast, in this body, I come in just like a little thread, because otherwise I would blow her up. So I come in just as a representative to share with you that there are mothers everywhere. There's Mother Earth. She is my sister and also part of the same divine stream that I am. There's Divine Mother of the sky, of the night sky, Divine Mother of the sun.
Mhm.
There are divine mothers everywhere around you. Mothers from ancient times, mothers that have left. So if you're feeling sad or lonely, just know that you have the Divine Mother everywhere.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When Yogananda Yogananda lost his mother when he was only 7 years old or 8 years old. Did you know that?
No.
One of Robin's teachers. And when he died, when she died, he went and sat in meditation. He was a little tiny guy, just 7, 8 years old. It's a terrible time to lose a parent. And he was very close to his mother. And so he felt her in meditation come to him and say, I am no longer here. This is a premonition he had before they actually got the news of her death. I am no longer in my body, but now your mother is Divine Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Divine Mother appeared to him and she said, I am here to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he remembered that. And anytime he needed help, he called on Divine Mother. And that's what got him to America. That's what got him to start his centers all across the country, all around the world. That's what helped him get back to India when his teacher was dying. That's what helped him visit many saints all over Europe. Divine Mother guided him.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the same Divine Mother. She's all around you. So call on her, because when you call on her, then you are asking to engage her. And you need that relationship to develop in order to use it when you need it. You don't want to use your spirituality only when you're in crisis. You want to practice it so that when you are in crisis, you have it already, you see. That's how it works. So allow yourself to really feel the mother embracing you. You can do that by the ocean. You can do that on a river, next to a river, and see Oshun, the mother Oshun, come down the river. The air is another feminine reality of wind. That is another kind of mother. Yes. And fog, ewa.
Mm-hmm.
Fog is another form. So there are many, many forms of mothering. Don't forget it, because you will need it. Yes.
A few years ago, when the 13 indigenous grandmothers met with the Dalai Lama,
Yes. Well, they
what
did.
what he told them is what the world needs is the mother.
Yes.
That energy, of that sense of the mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there is Amma. You know, Amma is here.
Yeah.
She's in India and is the hugging mother. She's the hugging Divine Mother. There are many beings who are out there. Of course, anyone who has been a mother knows what it's like to struggle with your children. And now Mother Nature is struggling with her children, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And she's having to discipline them because they have not disciplined themselves.
Yeah.
So that is part of this COVID thing, is that the Mother Nature is saying, enough. We're not going to allow you to continue to destroy me.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of suicidality is that? That humanity thinks that it can destroy the earth? For what gain? Just to take the minerals out? That is such a twisted way of thinking of the earth. No, the earth is not just a resource to be abused and used. The earth is a living being.
Mm-hmm.
And she will not put up with it anymore. She's very compassionate, but when she's done, she's done. And she's done.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Hi, I'd like to say something, Divine Mother.
Yes.
This is Michael.
Yes, hello, Michael.
Hello, I've been reading a book called I Am Discourses.
Yes.
It's primarily about the Ascended Master,
Aha.
Saint Germain.
Mm-hmm.
Saint
He
Germain.
talks quite in detail of the one law, which is love.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you and I feel your love. And I just wanted to say that when you said that we are precious, I believe you. We are all very precious beings here.
Very good. You're welcome. Yes, my friend, Saint Germain is a great healer. And he has done a great lot of work for Robin in terms of helping her heal. And Saint Germain, the violet flame of Saint Germain, is something you can also call on because he is here to help you heal. So the violet flame, you know, imagine a violet flame in front of you right now. And you are calling on the energies of Saint Germain. And just ask Saint Germain to guide you and heal you. And receive the love from that flame. That marvelous flame of Saint Germain. And now imagine it in your hearts, and imagine it now growing all through your whole system and through your whole body. That is the violet flame of Saint Germain. It can help purify your system, can help you heal from colds or any kind of illness. It helps you a lot, it can help you in many different ways. So just allow yourself to feel that. That's how you start. You start it right here in your heart and let it expand, just like your own light. Very good. Thank you for reminding us, Michael.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Well, I am sending love and blessings to all of you abundantly. And allow yourself to feel that love in a wave.
Mm.
Yes. Receive it. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste, Wulan. Namaste, Robin.
I'm back.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm going to open up the circle. We haven't sung this song in a long time, so let's sing Star Omen's song.
Okay.
One by one, the stars are lit. Then you see the constellation. You can unmute yourselves if you like. One by one, the stars are lit. Then
We see the beauty.
one by
One by one, the stars are lit.
then
We see the constellation.
one
One by one, the stars are lit.
then
Then we see the beauty.
So I'm going to open up the circle of light and healing and give thanks for what's been offered and what's been received, and know that as we heal ourselves, We heal all nations, and so it is. I will say also, and as we ask for help from the guides, we will heal ourselves, and so it is. The circle's open and unbroken.
Blessed be.
I loved what she said about the mothers, because there's a mother in the spring, you know. Nana is the spring. There's a mother in the mud, which is Oba. And there's a mother in the Oshun, in the fresh water, and Yemaja in the ocean, and Ewa in the mist. There are feminine aspects in all the different elements. So you can call on those elements. Some of the most healing ones are springs, I have found. Going to springs in different places on different mountainsides. They really help you just sit and be with yourself, and also the spirits of the earth. They help us. They can help us. So